As we come off from a 2 week event from NXT with Spring Breakin, as you know, for our main event for this episode of NXT, we have, of course, Chelsea Green becomes the next challenger for Roxanne Perez's NXT Women's title. So that's going to be a very interesting match to watch. Then, of course, we do have a very interesting match with Michin, better known as Mia Yim, taking on Ariana Grace, and various interesting matches taking place as well. But first things first, as you know, this past Saturday we did have, of course, Pro Wrestling Noah's Wrestle Magic. This one featured at least 4 title matches, but also we saw the appearance of the roster from Mighty Gold taking on the wrestlers who normally make appearances in Noah. So that's going to be a very interesting match to watch as well. And then, of course, we cap it up with some news updates to give you guys updates what's been going on in the world of pro wrestling, such as what events the promotions are throwing out, who's booked, what matches are set, and of course some developments along the way. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel where we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere in the world where pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also do more news updates. If I'm unable to put it on this episode, I can put it on a separate video by itself. We also do real-time news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of pro wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also do the Unagi Sayaka Watch and various other cool things as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us. So click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, all introductions have set aside, I believe it's time to get this show on the road. So let's begin with, of course, with Pro Wrestling Noah's Wrestle Magic. Okay, Pro Wrestling Noah Wrestle Magic. Now, those who are not been following Pro Wrestling Noah, or those who have, let me explain this show to you guys. This was a show that was in fact was produced by none other than Rasan Run Guy. He has these shows that happen every Monday, or like on season types, like maybe 4 or 5 episodes, called Monday Magic. So basically, the idea of the show, you don't know who you're gonna see coming through the ring entrance, and that's one of the best parts. Ron Guy has been doing this since last year, and this is one of their big shows. This one does feature, I made a mistake, 5 title matches. So we'll see along the way where we go. Now, this particular show took place this past Saturday on May 4th. So let's begin. Our first match is the GHC Hardcore title. Ninja Mac defends the belt against veteran Shuji Ishikawa. Now, keep in mind, yes, it's a hardcore belt. Anything can be used possible. Any weapon, ladders, chairs, whatever. That's exactly what was happening in this entire match. But unfortunately, Ninja Mac was unable to get away from the powerness of Ishikawa when he applied a sitting down powerbomb and becoming our brand new GHC Hardcore Champion. Now, our next match, we have tag team action. We got Rohi Oiwa. He teams up with Daiki Inaba. They take on Starboy, Charlie, and Titus Alexander. I thought this was a very good pair. Now, as you know, Starboy Charlie is currently on tour right now in Japan. Titus has done this before, but it's great that he's back with Noah. I'm sure he's learning some new things while he's doing his Japanese tour, and it's amazing. However, I think many people were curious how this match was going to go, but it was Starboy Charlie who applied the winning touches when he applied the 450 splash onto Daiki Inaba, allowing for himself and Alexander to pick up the win. Our next match, we have Masa Kitamiya taking on Takeshi Sugiura. This was a very brutal match. I mean, these two guys are no jokes. They're powerhouse wrestlers. They don't hold back for nothing. But, however, of course, Masa was bleeding out from the face. But he was able to pick up the win when he applied a diving senton, putting away Sugiura, allowing him to pick up the fantastic win. Now, our next match, we have a very interesting six-man tag match. We have Eita, Hayata, and teaming up with a veteran Akira. So they face Yu Iwata, Junta Miyawaki, and a guy who's a freelancer named Hitoshi Kumano. So I don't know much about this guy, but it seems like he's a big deal in the Japanese wrestling world. Don't know much about him, but it's interesting that people cheered for him. But the match was okay, not gonna lie. But it was in fact Akira with a diving body splash onto Owada, allowing for him and his teammates to pick up the win. Now, our next match, we have a very interesting three-way tag match three-way elimination tag match, actually, for the GHC Junior Heavyweight Tag Team titles. We have, of course, Shuji Kondo. He picked his mystery partner was none other than Brother Hashi. Those who don't know him, he is a wrestler who I've seen in Dragon Gate, so it's kind of interesting. Of course, Junta Miyawaki wanted to be part of this, but Kondo had enough of him, so he kicked him out and put this guy. But of course, the former and previous champions, Dragon Bane and his brother Alpha Wolf, they decided to get another opportunity, but they faced the champions themselves, GLG's very own Tadasuke and Yohei. But I have to say, Yohei did most of the work in this particular match. If you guys don't know, he did. He picked up the win when he pinned Hashi, and then of course he picked up the win onto Alpha Wolf. I was like, man, this guy was worked real hard. And I keep saying this to myself. Yohei should have been GHC Junior Heavyweight Champion. I mean, stop using him too much as a tag team specialist, which is annoying, to be honest with you guys. But yes. So GLG, Tadasuke, and Yohei retain the belts. Now, our next match, we have Kenoh. He faces, I guess, someone who I did not expect. He calls him the Old Dragon, Yamato from Dragon Gate. Yes, guys, we had guys from Dragon Gate who also made their appearance. Was very interesting to watch. I wasn't expecting this in any way possible, but nonetheless, the match was pretty good. Now, you would think that why would Yamato be involved in a match like this if he's a junior heavyweight? Now, those who know this or not, Dragon Gate is basically a junior heavyweight promotion. Basically, wrestlers who are under 205 pounds, under the 205 pounds, which is kind of like the cruiserweight type. But nonetheless, I felt Yamato played a pretty good match. I mean, he basically, even though he's a junior heavyweight, he actually acted more like a heavyweight. I feel like he should just leave Dragon Gate and explore his options, the jump ship as heavyweight. I mean, what do you guys think? You tell me. But however, Kenoh, he is one of the toughest SOBs ever. He doesn't hold back. He doesn't play games. But he was able to pick up a very fantastic win when he applied the double foot stomp onto Yamato, picking up the win. Now, our next match, we have a very interesting tag match. We have Shuhei Taniguchi teams up with Hikaru Sato. They take on Oka Sasaki and someone who we haven't seen for quite some time, Katsushi Sakuruba. Now, those who don't know who he is, he has a bit of the MMA background. He used to be tagging with Sugiura back a few years ago until he disbanded the Sugiura Goon. But now he was back. He kicked ass. But however, it was him with a very no, it was Sasaki who picked up an impressive win when he applied a high kick onto the temple on Taniguchi. Referee had no other choice but to call it. He knew that this match was already over. Now, our next match, we did see before our women's match, in fact, involved the members of the roster of Marigold showed up. We see Rossi Ogawa leading the charge, and of course, they were support of Mai Sakurai, Mirai, Utami Hayashishida, and of course, Julia. They take on Great Sakuya, Nagisa Nozaki, Miyuki Takase, and Utami and Takumi Iroha. Now, those who don't know this, many Japanese promotions don't like invaders. Basically, Mighty Gold has no business being there. People were booing for Mighty Gold. I mean, you probably would say why. I mean, look, that's how life is. You do not go into a promotion and invade, because normally we've been seeing Pro Wrestling Noah has been allowing just mostly freelance wrestlers just making their presence known, or wrestlers who are not affiliated with other bigger promotions, kind of like Tokyo Pro and of course Stardom. But that's how it was. But however, this match ended very drastically when Sakuya accidentally gave the green mist to Nagisa. But it was Julia who picked up the win with the Northern Light Bombs, giving Mighty Gold the presence known. Even Rossi said that it started off for a good start for Mighty Gold, and they can't wait to see how things are going to be. He said that if they asked to come back, he'll do it. So we'll see what happens down the line for them. Our next match, we have Hajime Ohara. He teams up with Naomichi Marufuji, the Genius of the Arc, take on Jake Lee and a very interesting partner. You guys know him too well. Back from ECW and WWE, we're talking about the Japanese buzzsaw Tajiri. Yes, Tajiri was involved, and yes, he did give the green mist to Ohara, but it was Ohara who ended up on the wrong side of the buzzsaw kick, and just like that, it was completely over. Now, before our next three matches, which is going to be the top ones, we saw the appearance of none other than Keiji Muto. Yes, Keiji Muto is back. Now, it's no secret that he came back because of one particular match, which is our main event, Kaito Kiyomiya. But we'll get to that. Now, our next match, we have the GHC Junior Heavyweight Championship. Alejandro issued the challenge towards Daga. And I have to say, this is the best performance match by Alejandro. Now, Alejandro, I can't say he's the best wrestler, but I do see that he is a very high potential wrestler that could definitely win. I don't think he hasn't won a championship match at all. I mean, he was so close for the GHC Junior Heavyweight Tag Team titles with Ninja Mac, but unsuccessful. But unfortunately, this match ended with him being on the wrong side of the Diablo Wings, and of course Daga retaining the belt. But the most interesting what happened is when Daga left, a mystery masked wrestler just showed up out of the blue. Nobody knows what was this all about. Now, I do have information about this guy. From my understanding, they said that his name is Cristobal, which translate in Spanish to Christopher. Now, not much about him, but I will talk about him at another later time. So we'll see how that rolls up. Now, our next match is the GHC Heavyweight Tag Team titles. We have, of course, GLG members Anthony Green and Jack Morris. Their opponents, well, they have been dealing with ridiculous wrestlers since Monday Magic, but apparently this was probably one of their biggest tests ever. They face against two legends, well recognized in the Japanese wrestling world. We're talking about Satoshi Kojima and, of course, Hiroyoshi Tenzan. That, I have to say, was a fantastic challenge for GLG. And they put on a great match. And they even and of course, Morris applied the shooting star press on Kojima to retain the belt. And of course, they gave props to Kojima and, of course, Tenzan for stepping up their game, knowing that they are tough old bastards. Even though they beat them, they respect them. Now, our next match, we have the GHC Heavyweight Championship. Kaito Kiyomiya versus Iko the Dr. Wagner Jr. Now, we know Kiyomiya has often said that he is the savior of Noah. He often said that. Now, he did win a #1 contendership during the final of the Monday Magic show a while ago, and he got it. But it was one of the most strongest matches I watched. I mean, Kaito Kiyomiya tried to prove why he is the supernova, why he is the face of Noah, why he should be the one to save it. And exactly, it took only 2 or 3 shining wizards, and of course, to even know that what move is what made Keijimoto legendary. He used it against him, and just like that, he put away Wagner, becoming a brand new GHC heavyweight champion, and we'll see how things will progress. And also, Keiji Muto presented him the belt, knowing that he did an excellent job, and they did the post together. I thought it was really cool. So practically, it was awesome. I enjoyed it. So I think that's pretty much it right now with Noah. I believe it's time for NXT. All right, NXT. As you know, NXT has come out from a 2-week event, Spring Breakin. As you know, we have brand new tag champions. The tag team division has picked up. Everybody wants a piece of Axiom and Frazier for the tag belts. As you know, we begin the start of the NXT Women's North American title, which is something we're going to be talking about maybe some other time. But it's already been announced that 12 women have been chosen. I'm not going to name all of them, but I do know the names. We have Ivy Nile. We do have, of course, what's her name? Lola Vice, De Hale, all this and that. So there's going to be a lot of things that are taking place. Now, we opened the show with the return of Wes Lee. As you know, he's on a mission. He's been gone for a while. He had to relinquish the North American title. But the only way to get that title back is to go through those who, of course, are standing in his way of that. And one of them right now is, of course, Josh Briggs. Now, we know Josh Briggs had challenged that, but failed. So he wants another opportunity. But Wes Lee, as you know, has a purpose, and that's exactly what he did. But it was, of course, a very interesting maneuver where Ivar showed up and got in the way. But it did allow for, of course, Wes Lee to apply like a spiral roll twist off the turnbuckle to pick up the win. And all hell broke loose at the post-match when, of course, even though Wes Lee won the match, Obafemi is watching the carnage. So we'll see how that rolls up from here on out. Our next match, we do see Shayna Baszler taking on Carmen Petrovic. Now, don't forget, Shayna Baszler choked out Carmen in order to, lose focus Natalia from the very beginning. However, that did not work this time because, as again, Shayna choked against Carmen once again, but this time in a match. However, Carmen was a bit more, disappointed. She felt she let Natalia down. But, however, Natalia, who is a pro at this, knows that, of course, Natalia has a disadvantage. Her disadvantage is her martial arts skills are all about self-defense. So, basically, she's trying to telling her we need to think offensive ways. But, however, some jerkweed, I don't know who he is, said something inappropriate to Carmen. And, she gave him a nice high kick, put him down for good. And of course, Natalia tells him that's exactly what we need. A lot of it. So hopefully, like, of course, Vic Joseph says, whoever he is, he better rethink his life choices. Yeah. Now, we do see, of course, a moment later, Kelani Jordan was trying to find out what the hell happened last week. As you know, Thea once again was betrayed by someone she thought she trusted, and that was, of course, Fallon Henley. So Kelani Jordan was trying to find out, but we did see later they're going to have a match. Now let's jump into a very interesting tag match that we saw. We saw Tyson DuPont and Tyreek Eway taking on members of the North Quarter Catch Crew, mostly Charlie Dempsey and Miles Bourne. However, things got a little twisted. That twisted was, of course, the ref. Where the hell was he? until the special guest referee was none other than Stax. Now, why did it happen? Simple. It appears that No Quarter Catch Crew asked the family to do a favor for him, and that favor, well, it resulted of Drew Gulak, and of course they haven't paid up. So, however, you can say that the family screwed the No Quarter Catch Crew, which they did, thanks to Stax. Of course, Eway rolled up Dempsey, allowing for the pick up the win, and that kind of went all sideways. However, we did see, of course, No Catch Crew that say there will be a match between, of course, for the NXT Heritage Cup, and he said anybody could happen. But I can tell you how this thing ended by the end of the show. I'm going to skip ahead for that part. Of course, the whole no quarter catch clause has been a problem. So basically, we did see, of course, the D'Angelo family took matters in their own hands. They kidnapped Damon Kemp and Miles Bourne. So basically, Charlie Dempsey has no one to depend on. And I don't think by the end of the show, he had no idea what just happened. I'm sure he will find out, and he's not going to be pleased with the whole thing. Now, last week we saw Michi made her return. Ariana Grace says it's too late for her to be part of the NXT North American Women's Championship, and then she clobbered her. However, you would think that Ariana Grace would have walked away, but apparently the ref saw that she had her hand on the rope to use leverage. Ariana Grace was not happy, saying that I had this match won, but the problem was she was breaking rules. She lost focus mostly on the ref, but it was, of course, a pinfall by Michi to pick up the win. And Ariana Grace, later on, there was an exclusive video, her crying, with Chelsea Green. Now I'll explain that one a little bit. Now, we did see, of course, Rich Holland talking to Thea Hill after what she's been through. Rich was talking about, that Thea reminds him of his daughter, who has the same kind of spirit as her. And of course, Chase U always had their back. So, however, the king of the spoilers, the guy who gets on everybody nerves and skin, Lexus got on the way. So, he once again started another problem. Now, last week we saw Lash Legend talk to Trick Williams. Apparently they said they have proof that would prove something about Trick Williams, that he was a fraud. Now, we don't know what this was about. It turns out, during the match with Noam Dar, his foot was on the other side of the ring. Now, when it comes to matches like these, the ref didn't see it. So that means, and if the 3 count happened, that means the decision was final. So Trick Williams didn't see this. What's the problem? This doesn't prove nothing. So Noam Dar was like treating this like, come on, man, I got you. I prove it right there, man. That's right there, the fraud. So he acts like he was being over dramatic over this. But however, things got a little hot, you know what I mean? With whole story with Lash Legend and Trick Williams. I thought that was crazy. They were treating this like an episode of Maury, which of course Trick Williams actually put it out. And then we did see Noam Dar clobbered Trick Williams. So that means he will be gunning for the NXT title. And Lash Legend, well, I wouldn't be surprised if she ditches Metaphor and side with Trick Williams. That would be interesting. But Noam Dar is believing that he will walk away. But we'll see. Now, a little interesting thing happened. I don't know what I saw. I heard some snoring when this piece of part was black. Snoring. Why does that sound familiar? No. Does that mean she's back? We just gotta wait and see. Now, moving on to our next match. Fallon Henley versus Kelani Jordan. Now, of course, things have gone sideways between these two. Basically, now it's like Fallon Henley is looking out for herself, try to put herself first, and that's exactly what happened. But there was a moment we did see a exposed corner side exposed, and that was a perfect setting plan by Fallon Henley Kalani Jordan until she applied the Shining Wizard and ending things like that. Now, our next match, we have Lexis King versus Duke Hudson. Now, things would have gone great, but due to Rich Holland's attitude towards Lexis King to get on his nerve, it might have taken a toll on him. But, however, Duke Hudson lost by the coronation. But he did apologize to Chase U, realizing that he did lose his temper. He was admitting to do that. But Duke Hudson understand that. So, I wouldn't be surprised if Rich Holland decides to join Chase U. Who knows? But it would be interesting to see. Now, speaking of Thea Hale, as you know, she defeated Daisy Jane. It turns out that she broke her nose. And Jasmine Nix is trying to get people to rally behind Daisy Jane for what she did. No one's going to rally behind Daisy Jane, so we'll see what happens until then. Now, our main event is the NXT Women's title. So this was a match that was set by none other than Ava Reigns. Because, of course, last week, Roxanne Perez was, of course, not scheduled to face. And not to mention she was throwing a temper tantrum because asking why didn't she got drafted. Well, the obvious reason is she's the women's champion. She cannot be drafted. She wanted to take the belt with her, but the general rule is you can't be drafted if you're not a champion. If you're a champion, you can't be drafted. So that played out pretty well, in my opinion. However, the match went pretty well. You would think that, of course, Chelsea would have done everything in her power to win this match. But unfortunately, it was the Pop Rocks that became the real deal. So now the honest question is, who will most likely be the one to dethrone Roxanne Perez? I think some people are already speculating that, but we just gotta wait and see until it officially happens. Now, as for Chelsea Green, we did see in a little exclusive content where she's crying like a little girl. Well, she is a girl, but a crybaby with Ariana Grace. They can't believe they lost their matches. But that's how the whole thing ends. But we'll see what happens next week. We do know, I think we are going to start with the North American Women's Championship Tournament. I'm looking forward to that. But right now, let's move on with our last and final thing, news updates. Okay, so welcome to our news updates. So let's begin with, of course, updates with the promotions. Beginning with, of course, GCW. Now, as you know, on the 18th of May, we have the Most Wanted. There's going to be a tag match with the group called the Legion of Ra. Now, I don't know who these guys are, but their opponents is a team that I am familiarized. That is Midas Black and Jay Lyons, better known as the Main Event. And then, of course, on the 14th of June for Lights Out, they just announced that Nick Gage will be in action to take on Oreen Vilt. I think that's his name, but we'll see. And then, of course, the following day in LA for Hit 'Em Up on the 15th of June. He's very nice and very evil will be present. Danhausen, that's right. And then, of course, the following day, I Can't Feel My Face, Masha Slamovich will be in action as well. And then, of course, 2 debuts have been announced for the rest of this year. They'll be making their way on August 18th to Salt Lake City, Utah. So yes, this is their debut show there. I'm so excited for them. And then, of course, in November, they just announced that they're heading across the Pacific. Well, not to Japan, but to a very beautiful island, and that is none other than Honolulu, Hawaii. So that's right, they'll be making their debut there as well. Now, updates with House of Glory. 2 events have been announced. The first one is called The War Within. This one will take place on the 24th of May. However, 4 names have been announced that will participate in this particular show. We have The Amazing Red, Gringo Loco, Matt Riddle, and of course AJ Francis making his debut. And then, of course, the following day they will have another one called Glory of War. Now, Stardom has announced for their upcoming full card matches for this weekend. Let me pull that up real quick for all of you guys to see, so I can read it up. Okay, so this is for their Chiba show on Saturday. We have Maika and Mina Shirakawa taking on the rookies of Cosmic Angels, Sayaka Kurata and Aya Sakura. Now, I don't know what to expect, but I wouldn't be surprised if they are trying to, I don't know, maybe rethink their choices joining the Cosmic Angels. Who knows? But it will be a good, interesting thing because many people are hoping that that Kurara and Sakura will definitely have an opportunity for the new Blood Tag title. So we'll see where that leads us. And then, of course, we have Waka Tsukiyama versus Rana Yagami versus Rian in a three-way match. And then, of course, we have an interesting in a four-woman tag match. We have star members Azuki, Koguma, Saya Ida, and Momo Kogo will take on Queen's Quest, Saya Kamitani, Azumi, Lady C, and Miya Amasaki. And then we have a interesting three-way tag match. We have the former tag champions, Suzuki and Meisira Crazy Star, taking on EXP's Xena and Hanako versus Oedo Tai's Momo Watanabe and Rian. And then, of course, we have an interesting eight-woman tag match. We have Cosmic Angels, Sayuri Inui, Tam Nakano, Natsupoi, and Yuna Mizumori taking on, of course, God's Eye, consistent of Shuri, Konami, Ami Sori, and Saki Kashima. Now, we do have an interesting reunion. Mayu Iwatani, Hana, they team up with former member Starlight Kid versus Oedo Tai's Natsuko Tora, Tekla, and Fukigen Death. Basically, this is going to be a very interesting one. Now, the following day will be at the Korakuen Hall. The Goddesses of Stardom titles will be defended as the part of the main event. We have Azuki and Koguma taking on O2 line, consisting of Azumi and Miyu Amasaki. Then we have, of course, a tag match. Cosmic Angel members Sayuri Inui and Yuna Mizumori team up to take on God's Eyes, Shuri, and Ami Sori. Then, of course, we have a three-way, a four-way, I think. Yeah. We have Maika, Mina Shirakawa, and Waka versus Mai Iwatani, Hanan, Saya Ida versus Suzuki, Mei Sita, and Starlight Kid versus Tam Nakano, Natsupoi, and Aya Sakura. So that's going to be a very interesting thing. Then we have, of course, another type of tag match. Xena and Hanako versus Konami and Saki Kashima versus Natsuko Tora and Tekla. And then we have a six-woman tag match. Sai Kamitani, Lady C, and the returning Hina versus Momo Watanabe, Rina, and Fukigen Death. Then we have Momo Kogo versus Rian. And then, of course, we have Sayaka Kurara versus Rana Yagami. So this is one match I definitely got to see. We're going to see how far these two rookies have learned to win. Now, then we move on, of course, SEAdLINNG. As you know, the planning for Arisa Nakajima's retirement road has been commenced. Nakajima will be teaming up with Fujimoto and Rina Yamashita to take on Veni, Makoto, and Nagiza Nozaki. Then, of course, they announced the debut of Bret Riot Gosselin, who will be making his debut at Wrestling Revolver at another Friday on the 17th of March. Full card has been announced for, of course, for Hana Kimura. And one of those names we do know is Julia will be facing against, what's her name? Oh, yeah, against Veni. So practically, yeah, hold on a second. Let me pull it up real quick. Okay, where is it? Here it is. Yeah, so of course, Veni versus Julia. We do have Shuri, Sayuri Inui, and Konami versus Big Hash. Shihiro Hashimoto, Mika Owari, and Miyuki Takase versus Sari, Mio Momono, and Kaori Yonagami. We do have a special battle royale. Then we have Super Delphine, King Shiza, Mensuri, Oji, I don't know, Aja Kong, Genji Shinzaki and Ram Kaicho. Then we have Dash Gazo and Miyoko Miyamoto versus Masato Tanaka and Ryo Mizunami. Then we have Rina versus Yuna. So that's going to be for the Hana Kimura show. They announced, of course, and then of course on the 7th of June, Black Label Pro has announced for their family reunion, Bayley Starks will get a rematch against the one person she lost, and that is none other than, of course, Kylie Reed. That's going to be interesting. There's going to be another All Together show taking place in June on the 15th. Tetsuya Naito will once again face the assassin that was sent by David Finlay to take him out, Jake Lee. And then, of course, we do have Kitsune Women's Wrestling for the Shugo event on the 14th of July. Marina Tucker will be making her debut. I don't know who she is, but I thought maybe if anybody knows who she is, then I'll let you guys know. Now, as you know, they announced for the Queen of the Indies show that will take place at the West Coast Pro territory on the 17th of August. They just announced the Great Sakuya, Great Muda's daughter, will be making her appearance. So that's going to be interesting to hear. Now, speaking of Kitsune Women's Wrestling, it was announced on their X account that something is coming, and they just put, shh. I don't know what it means, but it's going to be interesting. West Coast Pro has announced that they are now accepting new students. So if you guys want to become wrestlers, go on their webpage, go on their webpage or social media to get their information. You can email them on their West Coast Pro Wrestling at gmail.com. So if you guys want to be wrestlers, then you can do that now. Now, for the Wrestling Observer report, we do have King of the Ring, and Meltzer has this prediction. He believes that in the semifinals we will see, of course, a bit of another stand-in with two rivals, and that is, of course, the Tsar Ilya Dragunov and the in-ring general Gunther. So that's going to be a very interesting thing to see. Now, they've been talking about the possibilities of course, if there's any possibilities that AEW can do, a European tour. I mean, we have been seeing WWE has been doing that recently, but Dave Meltzer kind of talked about that. Let me pull that up. Let's see. Yes, here it is. This is what the Wrestling Observer put out. After the success of WWE SmackDown and Backlash in Lyon, France, Dave Meltzer had this to say on the possibilities of AEW potentially doing more shows in Europe. The expense is pretty high, so I say they probably won't do it, but I think deals it is would probably take somebody from there to take offer to bring them in. To see tourist boards, they would be just looking for WWE. AEW's name is not as big enough like UFC and WWE can get paid by government agency all over the world. So basically, the possibilities are like very slim at the moment, but we'll see. Unless someone invites them, that's what I think Meltzer is saying. Now, as you probably ask yourselves, GYV was asked what was their main reasons of leaving, of course, WWE. They felt like they were helping. They felt like it's not been helping them recently. Like they understand that they were helping the younger generation, but they felt like this was not their time. So that was the main reason why they left. So, I mean, as good as they are, as what they said, they felt they're better off being on there. Don't forget will be launching their own promotion, Burning Heart Pro Wrestling, and hopefully we'll get to know about that. Pro Wrestling Noah has announced that 2 wrestlers have been injured. Yoshinari Ogawa has obtained an injury, and then of course O'Hara will be out because of a concussion. So that will be something interesting to hear. We did hear that Boa, who was originally on NXT, has been released. He just broke his silence about this, and he says, after an incredible 7-year journey, my time with WWE has come to a close on June 1st. Grateful for the opportunity to work with amazing people and coaches. As I move forward, I'm excited for the new career opportunity, deeply appreciative of everyone who's supported me throughout life's ups and downs. Here's to embrace the next chapter with resilience and optimism. So we will see him somewhere, but we just don't know where, and I'm looking forward to it. Now, a very interesting thing happened after the All Together show. As you know, Kenoh from Pro Wrestling Noah has often put out his own YouTube channel, and he had a surprise guest, and that person is one of his favorite Yoshi wrestlers, and that is Azumi. Now, Azumi wanted to clarify something that apparently some dickhead decided to take out of proportion or misunderstand. It turns out that Azumi has a thing for older men. Now, you may think that's kind of creepy, but people thought that she was talking about Kenoh, but she kind of clarified it's not Kenoh. She said that she likes older men with beards. I'm like, that's kind of interesting to hear from her. But I think Kenoh was like a bit surprised. But he was very happy to hear that she wanted to set the record straight. And even though he felt nervous because he's a fan of her. He said he's been a fan when she was in high school. I mean, she's right now 22 right now. But yes, it's very interesting to hear. Now, Jinder Mahal just recently went and spoke about, something. Noted that he would like to has a run as a babyface in his career following his release. And this is what he said. He spoke about how wrestlers in South Asian descent have typically been portrayed as stereotypes in wrestling, and is hoping to change that. I mean, good for him. I feel like people like to say things differently about people of different and ethnic background, and I think he's doing a great job. I have to say, hopefully he can fulfill what he's going to do. Now, finally, as you know, we just been seeing wrestlers been donating money to the promotion out of Uganda, Soft Ground Wrestling. It turns out that Xavier Woods have donated $1,000 to this promotion. So I'm looking forward to see. I'm sure there's a lot of wrestlers that will love to donate money. We already saw that with Will Ospreay, Mustafa Ali. I'm very interested to see how that's going to go. But we'll stay close to that as much as possible. So I think that's pretty much it what we have for our news updates. Let's just call it a day. Okay, guys, I hope you guys enjoy this episode. As you know, we have AEW Dynamite. We've been hearing that Kenny Omega will be making a very statement, an announcement after that vicious attack. So I can't wait to see what's going to happen. Now, I'm not sure yet if I will be deciding what I'm going to do before that review. But if I'm unable to do so, then I apologize. I'll leave things as that. But it is what it is at this moment. There's a lot of things that have been going around in my personal life. But nonetheless, I'm trying to take things step by step. But we'll see what happens on the next episode. I think that's pretty much it what we have. So until then, I will see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. And have a nice day. Bang.